Well, hey, brother.
Hey, Al.
And welcome everyone back to another episode of Siblings in Crime. I'm Allie Rossell.
And I'm Blake Murphy.
And just as it sounds, we are siblings who love true crime.
Yes, love it.
Love it. When we're loving it more and more every week, I'm convinced. With all the love coming in, I'm loving it more. Way more fun. Not you.
I've always loved it. I've always loved it. I've always loved hearing about death.
Okay, that's one way to say that. You're going to regret saying that later. Just saying. But unlike how I forgot last time, everyone, if you have not, please like, subscribe, follow, all the things. More, please, more. Means the world to us. Yes. We eat that crap up.
Allie does. I don't even care.
Yeah, you don't even care. You care more. You care most.
Yeah, I do. I am nonchalant.
Yes, so you are. You do. You're not ashamed to beg for a couple more followers. And I respect that.
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
Yes. Just wanted to say, I think we gained like maybe 10 followers since our last episode.
You guys are awesome. We
316 now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Views on our last video. Let's go.
Dang, I feel like so happy about that. And to think that 2 episodes ago, we're so close to 300, So you guys are really helping us out, and it means the world.
500 by the end of the year.
500 by the end of the year. Maybe when we hit 500, that's when we finally decide on some merch.
Yeah. I
think that'd be fun.
I hope people would
Or is that too soon?
I don't know. I mean, we could always do merch. If no one buys it, we just have merch for ourselves.
And I would wear it. I would wear it. I've been doodling around just for fun because I think it's kind of a fun idea. I think we could find some pretty cool stuff. So if you would buy merch, let us know so we know if we should be thinking about that or if we're just a little ambitious. Just don't humble us. I'm just kidding. No, but I'm excited. It's been really fun. And oh, you just turned your hat around. I was just about to say, we got the USA game today.
Let's go.
Let's go.
USA.
Obviously, you can tell that we're recording last minute considering it's Wednesday and the USA game is today.
Yeah.
But super excited. That's going to be super fun. Are you watching it any more fun?
I think I'm going to Mike's house.
Very nice.
I'm a little nervous to go because we lost the last game when I went to Mike's house.
Yeah.
But I know we had a lot of backups in, and I believe.
True. I like that commercial. It's like the hockey player. It's like, do you believe in miracles? From the USA hockey team from way back then.
That was awesome.
I was like, that's so cool.
Can you imagine?
I think that'd be insane. That'd be so much fun. Especially I saw TikTok that's
in the US.
Yeah, that's crazy. I saw a TikTok that's like, how are we supposed to go back to normal after World Cup with all the patriotism all of a sudden and the vibes and all these people visiting and so fun.
So much fun.
I know. Everyone's like, the countries need to do more sleepovers. We all like each other, that's a cute thought.
Yeah.
Anyways, so go USA. And anything else before I kind of get into it a little bit?
Yep. What did you say?
Do you have anything else to say?
Oh.
Yep.
I hit all my times in my track workout today.
Very nice. So very proud.
I'm pretty excited. And yeah, just working on our house, the Ventura house, and rented out a different house and
real estate stuff.
Real estate's been rough this year, but we're getting through it.
Nice. Well, good luck with that.
Thanks.
Well, leading into this case,
I just want to make a bagel shop.
Okay. Oh.
I just want to make a coffee bagel shop.
What the heck? Where'd that come from?
I was just joking. Murder with my husband.
Oh, I know. Oh, no, bagels. I was thinking that. I was like,
sick bagels.
Yeah, true. I've been going back to first trimester cravings again. My stomach's been so unsettled. I'm like,
bagel.
Maybe it's time to go get a bagel. Maybe it's time I go try it. So, and they see that they're pregnant now. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, this sounds mean. And I love everyone. This is completely different. But there's a new bakery in Gilbert. And the owner is this guy. he like went to France and came back, and he just reminds me of a vampire and stuff. He just creeps me out, but like a lot of
What?
girls think he's hot and stuff, but I just think he's creepy.
That is so
We should get
funny.
that. I didn't mean it in a bad way. It's just like, I don't know. I just
I
think
don't
about
think it's a
different
bad
stuff.
way if someone looks like a vampire. I think a lot of people are into that. I
True.
literally had vampires
It's
in
a
my
girl
dream.
thing,
I'm
huh?
not even lying. Like that
You
was
weirdo.
like so weird. And I was like so scared because you had to have a flashlight on and like they wouldn't go in the light. And I was like in a trailer and I'm like keeping a flashlight on so a vampire wouldn't come in.
Yeah.
It was super weird.
But shout out to Sablé. That's the guy.
I was like, what the freak? How do you say
hopefully
it?
everyone goes and tries it. Sablé, I think. I don't know.
I've never heard of that before.
Hopefully
Well,
everyone goes tries Sablé and Ono bagels.
bagels. Yeah. That's our plug for them, even though they don't know and don't care probably.
Yeah. Can you see this? That'd be honestly awesome for us because that means somehow you found it. But
True. He's like, do I really look like a vampire? Like, bye. Here you have great bagels. So
he doesn't have bagels.
Oh, I think when you said bakery, I was thinking bagels.
Well, anyways, get to the point.
All right. Well, let me get into it. Before I was even going to start the intro, I was going to say, okay, are you ever thinking as maybe a 30-year-old man about people breaking in or anything? Is that even a thought that crosses your mind, or like fear of bad guys or getting taken?
Not really, except for when your friends were putting our Christmas lights on and at 11 p.m.
You're like, someone's breaking in.
I'm like, what the freak is going on? I like literally saw them outside the window. I was like scared for a second. I was like, oh wait, never mind. This is them, those idiots.
When your heart rate starts like picking up, you're like, okay, what am I gonna do in this situation?
Literally, they're getting on the roof for some reason. I'm gonna go get my guns.
They're coming in through the roof.
Protect this house.
It's like the
McLean
least likely
style.
way.
Just kidding.
Yeah, seriously, that's funny. Too bad not everyone knows that story because it's so funny. But yeah. I'm gonna keep to our story because that is like literally my biggest fear, and I think about it every single day. Like anytime I'm home alone, I'm like, what am I gonna do if someone comes in? And my biggest fear is getting stolen. So the reason I say that, yeah, same thing. The reason I say that is because this story today literally is one of those stories that just haunts me because it is generally already my biggest fear, and it's just that much more unsettling. So thanks to Hannah, because she got this case all together for us. Fontana. Because she deserves it. And this is just a very sad one. So you may want to buckle up for that. So let me get into the intro. It's November 26th, the year 2000. Sarah and her friend Leanne had gone out Christmas shopping in Leeds, West Yorkshire, England. The girls got off the bus at Sarah's stop and they parted ways. Sarah went straight to her house just down the street, whereas Leanne cut through a popular pathway called Hewley Gill. About 2 hours later, Sarah got a call from Leanne's mom asking if the girls were still together by chance, because Leanne had not made it home. And this is the case of Leanne Tiernan, who had officially gone missing. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll. This suburb of Leeds, very strong community. It seems like it's like a smaller geographic area, but it's like super compact.
Check. You seem to be messing that up a lot.
Check it up. Yeah, I don't know anything. You're right. Geographic area is not my thing.
It's a small town. It's like
no,
this
is not. I'm not saying this is a small town. I just about to say I think geographically it's not like a huge area, but it's very dense. Like people know each other's business, and there's like a lot of people there. But word and rumors spread quickly over here in Leeds, evidently. So now that I don't know anything about Leeds, tell me what you find.
I don't really know what I'm looking up, honestly.
You want to look at Leeds, West Yorkshire, England, and see geographically if it's large and population if it's large. I think it's a smaller.
Geographically it'd be small just because England's small in general.
Yeah, I think it is. But I think this is one of those communities where, like, not that everyone knows everyone, but word gets around fast because there's so many people and they all talk to each other. So don't be picturing. I don't think
I can look that up, but
okay. Well, if you're from Leeds,
around a lot in Leeds.
Yeah, if you live in Leeds,
quick.
Yeah. How do you do that? No, I guess in this area. I mean, I'm sure with any like case like this, it's gonna get around, no matter how big or small the area is, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, Leanne was born on September 27th, 1984, which is Brett's birthday. I thought you were going to
No
get that.
way.
Can you believe it?
That's
But like
crazy.
15 years earlier or something like that. But September 27th to Michael Tiernan and Sharon Hawkhead. So that's her parents. Well,
Hoghead is a wild last name.
I know. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
And I almost didn't even like keep that in because I'm like, okay, obviously Sharon's just her husband, or the wife. But Hawkhead, I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'm putting that in.
Yeah.
Well, Leanne was a typical teenager. She, though, like kind of stood out in a crowd. Literally every description ever that we could find was that she was very helpful. Like, yes, she was bright. Yes, she was happy. Yes, she was like all these like great things about a 16-year-old girl at this time. But like the number one trait is like she is helpful and always wants to help everyone, which is a great thing to be known for. A retired minister said that Leanne really stood out from a crowd because of how helpful she was. Like she was always volunteering to like bring food to like the different youth events and meetings and stuff. So, and she was even a local brownie. Do you know what a brownie is?
Yeah, it's like Girl Scouts.
Yeah, I was a brownie. Did you know that?
I think I did.
It was short term. I don't think I really fit in the brownie group the way that Leanne sounds like she did. She sounded like she
You weren't
thrived.
helpful.
Yeah, I just don't like helping people. I was like, this is not my calling. No, but she evidently just like loved it and thrived there. So it's kind of cool. Well, Leanne had asked her mother if she could go shopping with her friend Sarah, which is like such a fun time. I feel like 16, everyone's hanging out at the malls and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and
Mom
younger.
wouldn't let me.
Really?
She says bad kids hang out at the mall.
I guess she did say that, but I feel like I was at the mall quite a bit. Maybe I was a bad kid.
Maybe because you're a second child, they didn't care as much.
They're like, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, I felt like that was common, especially if like the mall had like a movie theater. Like one of the parents would drop you off, and you're just there like all day for some reason.
Yeah, I guess like I never hung out at the Superstition Mall, but like Santan, I'd go a lot.
Yeah, Santan is what I'm thinking of too. Yeah, so in this situation, they were going to be taking the bus, but they were all excited because they were going shopping for like friends and family for Christmas, and it's like the season, just two girls doing what two girls do.
Yeah. The like air changes, the
Yeah.
smells change.
There's lights everywhere, especially if it's like snowy. It's like twinkling and stuff. It's so pretty. So in this case, this just like shows Leanne too, like her personality, because Leanne and Sarah were going to be dropped off at different bus stops because obviously they live in a different part of town. Well, Leanne decided to get off at Sarah's bus stop this day because she wanted to make sure Sarah got home safely. Like she's like, I'm going to walk with Sarah, get her to her house, and then just cut through this pathway and then make it the rest of the way to my house. Which I'm like, that's already telling. Like the fact that you're doing the extra mile to make sure your friend is safe, you're a baller. You're obviously a great young lady.
Yeah.
And her own stop was like 2 or 3 stops away. So it's not like it was like she's adding on miles and miles or anything, but she just wanted to do this for her friend. So they did. So they did that. They parted ways around 5 p.m. You gotta keep in mind, it's probably getting darker. It's closer to Christmas. I don't know anything about England besides it's usually overcast, I think. So it's got to be kind of dark. At least getting dark. So Sarah went home and Leanne went down this like, I don't even know how to say it, Hewley Gill, I think is what it's called, this pathway. But as is, even like if it's not winter, it's poorly lit. It's like this dark pathway, but it is like very beautiful. It has a lot of vegetation. There's like tons of greenery on both sides. It's a nice pathway, but not ideal in dim situations. So from there, it should have taken about 20 minutes to walk home. So just before 7 p.m., now that's 2 hours later, Sharon is obviously getting worried that her daughter's not home yet. She tried calling Leanne's cell phone. First attempt didn't go answer. She called again. It hung up. So then she called all the friends. She, of course, called Sarah. And Sarah said that she hadn't seen her since she left the bus stop 2 hours prior. So at this point, Sharon's starting to panic. And obviously, one thing led to another. And Sharon called the police and officially reported Leanne as missing. Every time we talk about a parent having to call in their kid going missing, that has to be the most sick feeling in the world. Like, how scary, You just have like the uncertainty of not knowing where they are, if they're safe, if they're not. Like that has to be the worst feeling in the world. My heart breaks for
Yeah,
parents.
I know. And it's like, I feel like the hard part too is like trying, like, you're like, you want to call, but you also don't want to call too early because you're like, they're just gonna show up, like they're just
Mm-hmm.
running late and like their phone died, and then it's like you don't want to call too late and like not give the opportunity to find the kid, but it's like yours,
Mm-hmm.
like your hope is like that they just show up, and so you're holding off, but then like you can't hold off too long because you want to
Right.
get everyone looking. So
It
it's
stinks. Like
scary. And
you
like
don't.
the reality, like you can't grasp that they're not
Mm-hmm.
showing up. So you're like hold out, and like holding out too long is bad, right?
Right. I know. I feel like you don't want to let yourself go to like worst case scenario. So like if I call the cops, then that's me giving in to thinking that maybe something happened. Like you want to hold on to the hope as long as you can. But as we know, the first few hours are crucial. So it's always better to call. And then if they start walking in the door, you're like, perfect, you can call back and be like, never mind, she's home. And so it's definitely always worth calling earlier, but I can totally see how that would be a moment of, but this is me giving up hope then. This is me admitting something's wrong. And
Yeah.
what a sucky feeling.
But it's
And
also hopeful to look.
right. And that's what happens because the police aren't like she's 16, she's just a runaway. They're not like that. They start a search right away, which is exactly what should be happening.
Yeah, I always wonder like what, like is it just like the cops are just like lazy when they like say you need to wait a certain amount of time, or is it just like company policy like for that place, and like just because
Yeah.
maybe they have extra like more runaways than other places, so it's like, I mean, we've 10 out of the last 12 people have just been in their room asleep, and we waste a lot of resources.
Hmm.
So wait for 24 hours, but even though it's not real.
Yeah, I think I don't even think it's policy in a lot of places. I think it's probably just their experience. And they're like, hey, like most of the time, nothing's wrong. And so I'm sure they don't want to use their resources. But I mean, I know it's not a legal thing for sure.
Yeah,
Policy
I
is
don't know
hard to,
about other countries though,
yeah, I don't know about
but
other
yeah,
countries
true.
either. But policies, I feel like that'd be hard to say because like then they could be held liable if like that's against the state. But I think most of the time it's like, hey, we have so much experience with this. Chances are things are fine. And I
Hmm.
imagine they think it's reassuring for the family when in reality, families just want answers as soon as possible. Like, go look. And Detective Superintendent Chris Gregg is like the leader on this case. And the police work in today's case is awesome. Like, I love when we have a
That's
case
always
that's
good.
like, yeah, I love when we have a case that's like, okay, you guys are trained, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Love that. So they began to make a list of places to look. So Leeds was like I said, smaller geographically. So like obviously this is their jurisdiction, so they're going to stay in Leeds for a little bit. But they're looking at all these like houses and commercial properties and rivers and canals and drainage pipes. All
Like
these things are
abandoned stuff,
yeah,
or
abandoned
like
places.
canvassing.
Both. They're going to do like cuz they know where she was last seen. So they're going to canvas and then they're also going to look in all these other random areas where like maybe someone wandered off to like maybe she's exploring. Like unlikely, maybe she got lost. And then especially the river canal area, they want to see like maybe she fell in and something happened.
Yeah.
So then
Really
go ahead.
fast thinking
Yeah.
about that, like when I was a kid, I was always, when I'd look for something, I'd always be like, am I like just missing it by like an inch when I reach under my bed and it's just like staring at my hand, like reach a little farther? Or
It's
like,
so
and I just watched
funny.
Toy Story and it's like kind of like similar
So
to
that
that.
perspective.
Yeah. And then like, I can't imagine looking for a person and being like,
Mm.
if I just
Like
walked,
am I so close?
like 200 more feet, I would find him. Or like, if
Oh
I
my
just
gosh.
stopped this person driving, would she be in the back of the car?
Oh,
Like, I don't know. I don't think I could do well like looking.
yeah, that has to be such a haunting feeling. Like, I hope families don't go down that path because that has to be like excruciating. Be like, dang, if I would have just like looked around this corner or whatever. And that's a good point. I know it's so funny that you think of that perspective. I think I told you one time when our dog went missing, I thought our dog was missing, Monty. And I was like, calling for him everywhere, can't find him anywhere. I'm stressing. I'm like calling
He's
Brett. I'm
under the
like,
bed.
yeah. And I already looked under your bed and I still didn't, and he didn't come out. I was like, okay. I go look under your bed again and you have a blanket under there. And I start pulling the blanket and here he comes riding on out. I was like, are you? I'm like, I've been going, Monty,
He was
Monty.
so he's so annoying like that.
He's a cat and he just hides and he doesn't respond to his name. I'm like, you stubborn SOB. I was like so mad at him. And I'm like, and so it's like funny because like he was right there the whole time. I didn't even see him the first time. It's just so frustrating.
Mm.
But yes, I can imagine the situation. Like those questions would probably be so, so haunting. And the first day, they don't find anything. And it's not until the next morning, because like now they need sunlight, that police actually start looking along that footpath. Because it's like I said, it's not very well lit. It's very walked, I guess. It's like a popular dog walking spot, I guess. Dog walking, I think, is just like very popular in other places. And so it's not like it's an abandoned pathway or super like secretive or quiet. Like people are using it. But like I also mentioned, it's lined with like these, I'll have pictures and stuff, of course, but like thick grass, weeds, bushes, trees, like lots of vegetation along the way. And so they wait till the morning so they can actually see what's going on. So now they're looking at these places that are kind of like hidden. I think we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago about how when we go on runs, it's like you always hear that runners find things on their runs.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're gonna find anything to a case, it's gonna be on a run. So you're
Yeah.
kind of like
Or
scanning the
hunters.
edges. Yeah, or hunters. Like scanning the edges. And this is like a prime place where like something's gonna be in the brush and it's gonna take like a week to find it because there's so much of it. And it's gonna be a runner that stumbled upon it. So that's kind of what they're thinking. And they're like, if anything is here, like it's going to be a deep search. We got to find it. So they're looking for literally anything, specifically like maybe she dropped jewelry or her phone or like her umbrella that she had. Like maybe there's like a shoe, things like clues we're looking for.
Yeah.
So it didn't take long for the community to hear what's going on, that they're in a search for this teenage girl. And so they go, like the police go straight to the public, which I love when they do that. Let's get the public involved as soon as possible. Somebody's might have seen something. The first thing they did was actually though create a DNA profile of Leanne, which is makes sense. That's a great idea. They got to find out if anything's connected to her and also like if they find any evidence, make sure it's Leanne's. So they take fingerprints from her diary and got DNA from her toothbrush. So they like got that right off the bat, say if we find anything, we're going to compare it to this and make sure it's Leanne's. And I was like, that's kind of early for DNA. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it's rare that cops are like that on top of getting forensics done, which, like I said, love the police work in this case. So the scale of this search was enormous. They got over 200 officers, specialists, a lot of specialists. I'm not going to be able to pronounce their occupations in a little bit. Dog search teams, underwater dive teams to search the river. The teams brought in many items, but most of them weren't relevant to the case. So they were really thinking they were going to see something in this brush and like on the footpath, and they're not finding anything along the route. So it's kind of like leaving them a little puzzled, if you will say. Well, a week after the disappearance, police turned now to the media for help. Together, this is such an interesting thing. Together, they staged a reenactment of what happened that night, having a young girl walk the same route Leanne had taken up that pathway. And it aired on that nightly news, trying to get some tips coming like, did anyone see this exact interaction going on? When I first read about this, though, I thought they were like having like a detective be like a prop and seeing if anyone's going to come up to her or something. I was like, this is so dangerous.
Yeah.
And then I realized that they're just trying to draw attention to what happened and kind of get people understanding like the severity of it and see if they saw anything.
Yeah.
So two tips come in that really stood out because they started getting a lot of calls finally, but two more relevant than the others. So one woman called and said that in the weeks leading up to the disappearance, a rough-looking man with a dog had been hanging around Hooly Gill, this pathway. She felt uneasy about him because he seemed to like keep trying to talk to school-aged children.
Mm.
And she's like, this is odd behavior from a grown man, rightfully so. Keep an eye on him. And police met with this woman and they were able to put together a sketch. And this sketch is so funny to me for some reason. I'll have it up. Do you have your phone near you? Okay, I'll send you this picture. It is such an interesting sketch. I think in the picture it like has a beanie on or something. But I was like, when I saw this, I was like cracking up. I'm like, that's what we're working with. What a goofy looking thing. So this is the
Yeah.
sketch that
Looks like he has a little afro.
yeah, he has like an afro. Maybe he has like a, I think it's supposed to be a beanie. His eyebrows are basically a unibrow. His eyes are like touching, like a very narrow face.
Yeah.
Like,
But if you saw him,
or
you'd be like, oh, that's the guy.
yeah,
So if
true.
he really looks like it, it's pretty good.
Right. It must
It's
be
very
spot on if he looks like this.
distinct. It's
Yeah,
not
his
like a.
face is in the center of
Yeah.
his face. Go ahead. Yeah,
I
very
would say
distinct.
like some people like draw something and you're like, that could be like 15% of the people I know. And other
True.
times it's like this where you're like, oh, if I saw that, I probably know it was
Yeah,
that guy.
maybe. Which is great because it seems like he has a rounder face, but all his features are in the center, like a elongated mouth, skinny
And they're
lips.
like,
Yeah, his face
perfect.
is a little shrinked. That's exactly what it feels like. I saw that. I was like, wow, like maybe this would actually be a helpful sketch, honestly. So now they
Did you
have
guys
this.
crush it?
Yeah, wait, you guys either crushes or it looks nothing like this man. So
Yeah.
it could be good or bad. Um, so they put this out to the public. So they're like, we're gonna keep rolling with this. But the second call that came in was from a different woman who said that she had heard a scream around 5 p.m. So the two calls obviously were not related to each other and like very different testimonies. But
5 p.m.?
together, yeah, around 5 p.m. So together they're thinking, okay, maybe we're getting a timeline. 5 p.m. is like when they got off the bus stop though. So it had to have been like right when she left Sarah's house. Like maybe she didn't even get to the footpath even. So they're trying to narrow in a timeline. Of course, witness testimonies on time is never very reliable.
Yeah, I was gonna say like around 5 p.m. you could be like, it could be like, you're like get home, do all your stuff, you hear the
Hmm.
scream, and then you're like, wait, what time is it? It's like, oh,
Yeah,
it's 6. Oh, that would have been around 5. And it's
right.
like could have been like 5:45 or whatever.
Yeah, it gives you kind of a gap. And then if you're home too, like say you're at home and you know your husband's supposed to be home around 5 and it's like 5:30, like, oh, he's supposed to be home soon. Like he gets home late. You're like, oh, it must have been around 5 because he gets home around 5, but it was actually like an hour earlier or whatever, you know? So like, is
Yeah.
this the right time frame? They're not sure, but they're gonna work with it. And they're thinking that she must have, if she's gotten taken, maybe it was like this weird mysterious man, and maybe it was around this time frame. So they spoke with everyone who regularly walked their dogs through this pathway, and all of them were actually eliminated as suspects, like all the regulars that are there every day, which I'm like, how? But I don't have the details on that. But regardless, it seems like they're trying to narrow in like who's using this path. So now we're 3 weeks into the search already. And I'm like, how devastating that has to be, like every day ticking by. So police had gone, like I said, like through like homes, railways, canals, abandoned buildings, and nothing's turning up. And they had like not even found like the smallest little trinket of evidence of that she was anywhere. So even though the physical search had ended now at this point in the story, months ago at this point. So we're cruising through this with no evidence.
So the only evidence or supposed evidence are two leads of people who weren't ever seen with the lady. One that was like I was never seen with the woman,
Hmm.
and the other one
With Leanne.
they might have heard a scream.
Right. Very
That's
vague.
not much to work on.
Not much to work on at all. And they have no physical evidence at this point. And all they know is that Leanne didn't come home. Like that could mean anything. So now we're in August 20th though, of 2001. So like time is hauling by 9 months after Leanne disappeared. At this point, a man walking his dog came across what looked like a pile of rubbish along a trail in Lindley Wood near Oatley, about 16 miles from where Leanne lived. The closer he got, the more it looked like something else. At first, he thought it was an animal wrapped in a blanket. You see where I'm going? He pulled back a duvet cover and realized something was wrapped in plastic. The bags had been tied tightly shut. He tore it into one of them And that's when he found a woman's body. Now, how freaky. You're like, there's a blanket, you pull off a blanket, there's a bunch of bags, you're like, what's going on? And you're like digging into like this baggage. First of all, this man is wildly brave. Like, maybe he just is so
True.
unaware. But what a horrifying sight, because the body had been buried in a shallow grave, wrapped in 9 plastic bags, tied with twine, secured with a leather collar around the outermost of the 9 bags, like around the neck. All of which was inside this like duvet cover used to transport her, they assume, to the dump site. So the dog walker, of course, immediately called the police. He's like, "What did I just stumble upon?" And it's so freaky because it's obviously it's scary to see a dead body, even in like natural causes. Like something happens and like you see a dead body, but in these conditions, that is the most horrific like homicide scene like from every movie ever. Like that is like stereotypical. That is terrifying. The entire bundle was taken back. Bundle's kind of a rough way to say that, but like all the blankets and bags and everything, it was all taken back to the lab for a forensic like examination.
Try to get
And it
some
was
DNA.
yeah, they're trying to get DNA and they're gonna be pulling in every specialist you could ever hear about. I didn't even know there were specialists in any of these categories we're gonna go into. But it was quickly clear that whoever did this was very deliberate with what he was doing, attempting not to leave any DNA behind, like not sloppy whatsoever. Leanne's hands had been tied behind her back with cable ties, which is sickening, 2 black and 1 yellow. And it was like weird because it was connected in like a daisy chain configuration, which basically is like every friendship bracelet ever that you make, which is kind of creepy. But it's like one black tie was on one wrist, a yellow tie was on the other, and then the third was connecting the two. So it's like a link chain between the 3. She had been strangled with 2 items, a scarf wrapped around her neck, and underneath it was a clear cable tie pulled tightly. So
Jeez.
sick. Like what a horrible scene. And how
Yeah.
devastating like for the family, like what a terrifying way to go and like how disrespectful to like this human being. A forensic pathologist found fibers on the scarf and on her clothing, and of course that was back for evidence. So police are fairly certain who this is, but as always, they need a formal confirmation, and that's when they're able to have Leanne's DNA that they took a long time ago, and they were able to confirm that it was her DNA and that this was Leanne Tiernan. Detective Superintendent Greg later said that he remembered the dignity Leanne's parents showed when the news was sharing about their daughter and how he just respected the family so much because what a horrific thing. And they were just very composed trying to like solve this case. And that's just like admirable. And I wanted to put that in because that's just serious strength. So let me tell
Yeah,
you
that's
about,
hard.
yeah, let me tell you about these like specials I've been talking about. Entomologists, you know what that is?
Earth, something to do with the ground.
Oh, what made you guess that? That's a pretty good
I know
guess.
stuff.
You don't know anything.
everything.
No, you know nothing. Crazy guess. Well, good guess.
How close?
You're pretty close, actually. An entomologist is a scientist who studies insects to understand their crucial roles in
Yes.
ecosystems,
That's what I meant.
agriculture, and human health. I know. When I saw that, I was like, never seen that in my entire life. And how does one come across this occupation? You have to be a big bug guy grown up.
Yeah, I feel like those are the people who are in the Amazon, like trying to discover new bugs.
For
and stuff.
sure. For sure. And it's like so cool. You know how last week, I think it was last week, we were talking about like how do they know that somebody was out in like outside for so long or whatever and how long they've been dead. And one things we talked about was like insects active like and animal activity. Well, in this case, this is why they brought in this woman to find out, or I can't remember if this is a woman specialist or not, but brought in this specialist to find out more about like when she had been killed, how long she's been outside and such. So the insect activity on the body told something kind of surprising because based on the rate of the insect colonization, which is the most sickening thing ever when you're learning what we're talking about, the body had only been out that dump site for about a week. So it's not like this is like skeletal remains. This is not like been here for months decomposing. This is like fairly recent. And that meant that Leanne's body had been kept somewhere else for 9 months, like the whole nine
Jeez.
months that she had been missing.
Or alive
Yeah, which is pretty unsettling to think about.
for some
Yeah,
of that
it's
time.
well, exactly, because I mean, she's not very decomposed. It's been 9 months, right? So the investigation now focused on narrowing down where the body had been kept. So police brought in a new forensic specialist, another one, and um, let's see, a specialist in environmental analysis, asking her to check the body for pollen. So this is known as
Is that
pollenology.
like see where they've been?
Yes. Wait, this is what is so crazy because this scientist, like her name's Dr. Patricia Wilshire, I believe. This is so bizarre. I didn't even know you can do this stuff. She literally took pollen samples from like the duvet, yeah, and from Leanne's nose, hair, clothing, all these different samples. And what she realized is that all these samples match each other. So what that means is that they all originated from the same location. So she built a profile actually of where Leanne had been kept. And this is her conclusion. She says at some point, Leanne was in a rundown, unkempt garden with a fire pit. I was like, are you joking me? You're telling me that just from getting some pollen, you're like, it's a really rough garden, rough yard. There was a fire pit. Like she would describe the specific
That's
trees and
crazy.
bushes in the area. Yeah,
I feel
what
like we
kind of
should do this
vegetation?
more often.
Yeah, I was like, wait, who is this lady? And let's get her involved in every case ever. So the fact that she was even able to be specific on trees and bushes and soil, I'm like, that seems very relevant, and we need more of these type of scientists.
Yeah. I feel like
So
that'd be helpful if like they are curious about someone and then they were like, "Oh, his backyard has this pollen and this thing," and
this type of
but I also
trees,
feel like
and
it's not like,
you can't use it as like
100%. It's not like
right.
for like whatever DNA or something.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to make a case open and shut, but it's definitely
It's
good
just gonna give
information to
you like
have.
clues.
Right.
It's like this
Like
guy,
this
we
guy's
should keep looking
suspicious.
at him because he has a fireplace in his backyard and his garden's
Hmm.
messed up.
True.
So,
And it's like, oh yeah,
or
this
maybe
area is
he's at
gonna
a
be.
like a camp spot.
Hmm. Yeah,
Maybe
and
it's
it's
not
like
a
this,
garden. Maybe it's more like a bunch of rubble.
just like regular vegetation.
Yeah, like weeds and stuff.
Yeah, because that's what it says. It's like this place has to be like poorly kept and is weed heavy. I was like, well, hopefully that your suspect doesn't like call some landscapers like a month after like
Yeah,
this, you know. So obviously it's like not gonna be like the thing, but fascinating that they can even do this. I had no idea. Like that much
same.
detail at least. So all police needed now was a suspect who's garden matched. They're thinking like we got like this is gonna help us narrow it down.
Yeah,
I was like,
like
that
we're gonna do a
is
contest. Worst garden. Let's see who
yeah.
has the worst garden in town.
Hilarious. Yeah, come and volunteer,
Sub-
show us your
Submit your
garden.
neighbors for their worst garden
Yeah. If
because
your
no one
neighbor
wants
has a
to
bad
submit
yard,
themselves.
that is funny. That would have been such a fun way to catch a bad guy. Well, most of the fingerprint and biological evidence had been destroyed by decomposition at this point. So the team really focused on what they did have. And what's tough is that they couldn't recover like bodily fluids, but they found animal hair on her body. And it seemed to be all
Mm.
connected to the same dog. Okay.
Ooh, did
Which
that guy have
this
a
is
dog?
so fascinating. Well, they don't have a what guy? We don't have a guy we're looking at yet.
The first guy that got called on, who has this tiny face.
But that's just like, or I don't think that she said that. I don't remember if she said that he was like walking a dog. He was just kind of like creepy in the area.
Yeah, I was just wondering if maybe he had a
Well, he did
dog.
have a dog with a dog. He had been hanging around the path, so he did have a dog. Look at you paying attention.
Yep.
It seems
I'm
like
paying
everyone has a
attention better than
dog
the
in
person
this story.
reading.
Well, so they're like, okay, they actually decided, we want a profile around this dog, and maybe this dog will lead us to its owner. I'm like, these guys are so cool. They're thinking outside the box. I'm
Yeah.
eating
Like,
it
all right,
up.
now we're doing a dog contest.
Yeah,
Everyone who has
bring
this
your
kind of
dog.
dog.
Yeah, and like picking like their fur on the way in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. So
Free
along,
grooming.
yes, seriously, genius. Along with that, um, So now they're thinking about the dog thing, and then they also, while they're like working on the dog theory, they decide to pursue the cable ties as well, which is always crazy to me because they're trying to figure out who manufactured them, where they were distributed, and who bought them. I'm like, you're telling me that little cable ties, you can like find that much out about them? That just like is so bizarre that everything seems like it can be traceable. So each item they collected just kind of added another layer to this profile of like, okay, maybe we can get forensic evidence here, maybe we can get circumstantial evidence here. And now that they have like all this physical evidence for the first time, they're going hard on it. So the fiber that was recovered from Leanne's body that I mentioned, like right from the top of forensics, was that it ended up being carpet fiber. They find out.
Mm.
So get this: police consulted a carpet manufacturing expert. Why didn't you like that
Oh,
job?
could you imagine being that guy?
Yeah, woo, you can really be an expert
He's
in
like,
anything these
I
days.
know every carpet from now until back between like 1910 and earlier.
Yeah. He's like, I can just like see it with my
He's like,
naked eye and know.
yeah, back in the day, the real good carpet with the walls. So they just
He's
don't
like,
make it
you
like
just
they
love
used
that
to.
shag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Which
weight
is
of the carpet is, you don't get
right.
that these days.
Yeah, I just like so sad about it. I just like didn't know that there was literally an expert in everything ever, but this guy seems to know what's up because he was able to identify the type of carpet it came from. And I feel like as an investigator, I'd be like, are we sure?
I
Are
know. I'm
you
like,
sure
what kind
about
of
the garden?
science
Are
is
you sure
this?
about the carpet? Yeah, it feels fake. It's
Yeah.
so crazy. So these are just things that they're compiling. And that's like when they get their attention kind of goes back to the dog hair because they realize that some of the strands had the follicles attached, which of course, as we know, is what we're looking for, especially like that's what we do for human hair. And
Hmm.
that's how you can test for DNA. So investigators wondered if that would work for dogs, like testing the dog follicle. Well, at the time, no lab in the UK had ever tested dog hair before. Literally, the only place that they could find that was like that would take them, it was that they sent this sample to the university in Texas. So they literally sent it overseas. They sent to America,
How
to
long does that
Texas.
take?
I have no idea because it haven't had been a few months. Because it takes a while for them to get the results back. But what's bizarre is that Texas is already doing this, which cracks me up. Love you guys, love yeehaw. And they had developed a DNA profile method for like all these like purebred types of pets. And so they're like, we're on the case. Oh my gosh, I totally lied. I'm so sorry. I have read this case, I swear. But I'm thinking it's going to take months because I know when this case is solved. However,
Yeah.
it only takes about a week later, evidently, that they're getting
Dang.
partial
Texas
dog
moves
DNA.
quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Texas knows what's up. I need to start looking ahead a little bit, even though I swear I looked over this. um, but a week, yeah. But at this point, it's about a partial dog DNA profile that came back from the lab. It was like the first time that canine DNA had been used in like British criminal investigation, which had to have been a kind of a cool feeling. So the plan was to use this like partial DNA for the largest dog DNA screening ever attempted.
Dang.
And they're just going to compare it against dogs across this search area and see if they find a match. So, like you were saying, bring your dogs to the contest, like they want to do this
Yeah.
huge search. So, while they're getting like waiting for this DNA and they're thinking about having this dog like review, during this time, this is when the main investigator is deep diving into those cable ties I talked about. I talked about how they wanted to find the manufacturer and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So all this is like because there's so many experts, they're all kind of doing it at the same time. And this is where a detective is like really deep diving in because the black and clear ties led nowhere. So they're like, okay, whatever. But the yellow tie, very interesting. Its largest institutional user in the UK was the British Royal Mail.
Hmm.
So it was
He's a
possible
mailman.
he's a mailman. Maybe he's tied to the Royal Mail.
Yeah.
It's like, this is crazy that you're putting all this together. What a weird thing. But
I'm putting it
the
together or they are putting it together?
Them, not you. You're not doing
Oh,
nothing.
I was like, I'm doing pretty good then.
Whatever. That they're figuring this all out. So they're
Yeah,
now
they're
thinking
being
maybe he's
creative.
involved. Yeah. Such good thinkers over there. So the twine was also
And
starting to
I'm sure a
reveal.
mailman would be out and about around that time
Yeah, very
by
well could have
himself.
been. So the twine was also starting to reveal just a little something. Basically, if they could trace the source of like this ball of twine and match it to twine used to tie the bags, they'd have a strong lead on the suspect. So they try to trace that. Like they're trying to now find out where this twine came from, which every time I'm talking about this, I'm like, that is crazy to me. You're telling me like a ball of yarn, you can like find out who sold it and to who. Like that's what they're working on. And then as well as the dog collar. I mentioned that there was a leather dog collar tied along the outside of the bags. And they were like, this has, it's like a leather collar. Like, it has to lead somewhere. But millions had been sold worldwide, and local pet shops weren't turning up any answers, really. They thought that this was like going to be the make or break it until the break kind of did come, actually.
Whoa.
Because that collar that's talking about had been made by a manufacturer that supplied it to 220 separate wholesalers across the country. So this officer began contacting each manufacturer and was going through
Jeez.
all 220th. Yeah,
It's a
that had
lot.
been tedious work.
Yeah,
And he was
seriously.
asking all of them if they had any sales records from the Leeds area. Like what gruesome work. And that is the 112th wholesaler he reached out to confirmed that he had 3 sales in the area and sent over a list of names. So they
That's
look at
good.
these names. One name had come up before in the
Ah,
earlier public appeal, and that name is John Taylor.
John Taylor.
John Taylor. John
All
Taylor.
right.
What a weird way to come across a name, a potential person. John, well, let me tell you with this. So they're kind of thinking that they're going to follow this lead and start digging into John's life a little bit. Guess what he did for work?
Mailman.
He worked in parcel delivery for Parcel Force, part of the Royal Mail. So
Partial
he
Forest?
parcel, like
Oh, okay.
packages, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Part of the Royal Mail Company. Therefore, he would have access to these random yellow ties that I guess aren't as common if you're not a mailman.
Hmm.
Locally, this man John is known as John the Pet Man. Like real creative. He was divorced, mostly kept to himself. He didn't live in Leeds, but he was like really close by, and he had been known to like poach at night using twine for traps. So we're getting the
So he's a
twine,
poacher too?
and he's a poacher. I'm like, he's the
This
pet
guy's not a
man and
good
he's a
guy.
poacher. Yeah. Especially because like it's crazy because he like sold pet food. I think that's why people called him the pet man. He was like selling it to his neighborhood, and people literally send their kids over to John's house to go pick up their pet food. I was like,
Dang.
you call him John the Pet Man, he poaches. Like that doesn't seem like it goes hand in hand. But we're seeing like the connections with the Royal Mail and the cable and the twine used for his traps, which we know he used twine in this situation.
Yeah.
So bizarre connections. And it's
How
funny because
bizarre.
these every time these investigators, it's like little did anyone know like this is the things that they would pick up on. I feel like if you're a bad guy, you're not thinking like, oh, they're gonna notice that that it matters I work for mail or that I use this type of twine. Like I don't know. It just like seems like such unexpected things to maybe look suspicious. But yeah, in October 16th of 2001, they were like obviously unable to ignore all this like evidence that seems to be piling up. Now is it like super solid shut case? No, but
But
the police
it's
wanted to jump on it.
starting
Yeah.
to align.
It's just too many coincidences. You're telling me
Yeah.
the cables, the twine, the pet thing, the like this is just all lining up. So police actually arrest John Taylor in October. He, of course, denied knowing anything about the murder or anything about a dog for that matter. And when they went to his house, there didn't seem to be a dog on the premises. So they're like, did we get the whole dog thing wrong? We're like running all these surveys for dogs. Well, news of his arrest quickly spread, and the community was shocked because, like John, like I said, he was kind of like a regular in the neighborhood. Everyone kind of knew who he was, even though he was kind of standoffish. But like the fact that they're willing to send their kids over to his house, like it didn't seem like he was a threat necessarily. So while John was being questioned at the station, the other officers were like, "Here's our chance. We're searching his house." First thing they notice when they walk in, any guesses? You're
Pictures
not.
of her,
I would say you're not gonna
news
guess.
clips.
That'd be too obvious. There was no carpet. Remember, there was carpet fiber found on her.
Yeah.
So they're like, this is weird. There's no carpet where you were expecting to find carpet. So they're inspecting the floors. They're crawling around, trying to see anything they can.
Maybe it was bloody too, so he had to rip it all out.
The flooring had been stripped to the bare boards, just like you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
exactly. But what they did found was there was a little bit of was a little bit of fiber that had been like stuck to the nail that was like in the floor, like in the skirting or whatever. So it got sent in, and boom, it matched the fibers found on Leanne. I was like, how crazy. You walk in, you're like, no, dang it, there's no carpet. And then you're like looking in the corners and you find like one thread. You're like, send it in. Like, how great police work.
Yeah.
So they continue their investigation. What else are we looking for with our physical evidence?
We are looking for a garden.
We are looking for a garden
with a fireplace.
Right, a crappy garden. So they're like, you know what? We're going to call our specialist and get her over here and come take a look at his yard. So Dr. Wilshire, she heads on over and she backs up what she verified earlier with her findings. She had confirmed everything from the profile that she had built months earlier: the fire plate, the fire pit, the trees, the bushes, the soil. And she confirmed that that's all that what they were looking for. She gets to this destination. She does her inspections of the yard, and she's like, "This is it. This is the garden." I was like, "You gotta be joking me." She says, "This is where Leanne had been kept, like for who knows how long. She's not sure, but she's like, this is the soil, this is the trees, this is the fire pit rubble that we were talking about." And she's like, "This is the match to all the physical evidence I had months earlier." I was like, Dr. Wilshire, you're crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. We need to do this more.
I know. I'm like, this is fascinating. So obviously that's a huge deal. And as they're looking around this backyard, they also found black cable ties matching the same manufacturing code as the ties found on Leanne's body. They have like the weirdest evidence ever, yet everything is matching to what's in the house. And on top of that,
their creativity paid off.
It did. Can you imagine if they didn't go that hard on all the physical evidence they found? The garden would mean nothing. The cables would maybe mean something, but on top of that, they found 2 more dog collars identical to the one that was on Leanne's neck, and of course, twine matching the bag or the ones that had been used to seal the bags. So we have the twine, the cables, the collars, the garden, everything that they use a specialist for. Boom, we are finding that all around her house. The carpet. Dang. Even. Crazy. Yeah. Crazy. So incredible.
Genius. I wonder if they had more specialists, but they didn't really find anything.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they pulled in
like all the specialists they pulled in were like perfectly.
Yeah, I'm sure there has to be more and be like, okay, some of them weren't accurate and we just don't know about those guys. Because I mean, being like 5 for 5 is crazy. So there was one more piece. Investigators went back to the scarf that had been wrapped around Leanne's neck. And as they're doing further inspection, they found a little piece of human hair that got like knotted into the scarf.
And it's his.
Conventional DNA testing on the hair roots failed. So there wasn't like, if you don't have the follicles, you're not supposed to be able to get the DNA, right? So they take it a step further. Forensic scientists turned to mitochondrial DNA testing instead. So they were able to build a profile from inside the hair shaft itself. So like, I know nothing about forensics. I don't know what that is. It sounds incredible, but they weren't able to do it the typical way. I don't know what the frick mitochondrial DNA is anyways. So evidently they had to go about it a different route. But just like
Yeah.
you said, who'd it match?
John Taylor.
John Taylor. It matched John Taylor. So back at the station, John's like, he's been sitting there for a while, and they're like, hey, by the way,
He's
here's
like,
like
they're never gonna
6
catch
things.
anything. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, dang.
Like,
These
by
guys
the
went
way,
hard.
cable, twine, garden, carpet, fibers. Yeah, it's like
Pets.
everything. That had to have been, yeah, that had to have been like, okay, I'm screwed. And he does feel that way. Right when
You
he
guys
sees
really went
everything.
above and beyond, huh?
That's what I'm saying. Like, who are these guys? Can they give a training to the rest of the world? I think it's beneficial.
Yeah.
John sees this and he's like, okay, I'm ready to confess. He knows that he has nothing to like back himself up. He admitted to killing Leanne, but of course, he said it was an accident. Everyone's always trying to get the lesser punishment, always trying to back up. So, this is his story. He says that he had gone to Hewley Gill to walk his dog. He saw a young girl walking toward him and he grabbed her and told her not to scream. He took his scarf, tied it around her eyes, and he put his jacket on her and pulled up the hood. He then made her walk about 22 minutes back to his house. How scary. You're blindfolded and you're walking 20 minutes blindfolded with a hood on with a stranger. Like, that has,
Yeah. Also, how did no one see that?
yeah, how did no one notice? That's what I'm thinking. I think it has to be dark.
Yeah.
So he said he took her to a room and zip tied her hands behind her back, intending to assault her. According to John, depending on the source and the theory and all that stuff, that's when she kicked him. And he said he threw her to the floor and she had banged her head on something and that there was blood everywhere. And that's how she died. He said she hit her own head. It wasn't me. I was just trying to assault her, not murder her. Okay.
It's like I threw her on the ground and she hit her head, so it's her fault.
Right. He's like, okay,
Stupid.
it was an accident, not my fault. However, the evidence shows that she did not die from head trauma. She had died from strangulation. And they're like, hey, thanks for the story. It's wrong. Try again. And so he does. Story shifts. And he says that her blindfold had slipped when he was trying to assault her. And when she saw his face, something snapped. He knew that he couldn't let her go. And that's when he used the cable tie to strangle her. So when police asked him directly, like, why did you even abduct her in the first place? All he says is like, I have no idea. So I'm like, okay, so we got 2 monsters in a row in our siblings and crime cases this week because these men are just picking off innocent young women for no reason whatsoever besides they're just gross, sick.
Mm-hmm.
So prosecutors did not accept any version of this being an accident. They knew very much it wasn't so. The cable tie around her neck, also not an accident if you intentionally strangle someone because they accidentally saw your face. Very different type of story. Yeah. So the cable tie around her neck had been pulled so tightly, it had a 4-inch diameter, which is, I don't want to even actually say that again. This was not a panicked reaction. It didn't seem like it was like, oh my gosh, one thing led to another. It seemed like very planned abduction and like a very conscious strangulation. So police brought in the woman who had been given that original tip. Remember her sketch?
Yep.
Like, so she's given a lineup and she's like, okay, like, does any of these guys look like the guy from right away? Picks John.
Wow. So he's small face.
So he must have a small face. But I was like, I could have seen somebody and still not be able to pick them up from a lineup. And I had talked to them like multiple times or something. Like, that's like impressive that she was so confident in her decision. I'd also be very scared to make a decision because I'm like, is this weighing on me? Like, what if I choose wrong? And of course, this isn't like life or death in that situation. I think they just wanted to get confirmation. If it was great, they would use it. If not, then they'd probably just throw it out. But in this case, she actually did choose John, which is crazy. So that other open question that I kind of left you hanging with was like the dog. Remember how there was like no dog on his premise or anything? So that screening that they were planning on doing, they were just like hanging on to this DNA. So if they got any suspects, they were going to run that dog DNA against this owner's DNA, against the suspect's dog's DNA. Well, the forensic team eventually like found a dog, but it was buried in the backyard with a shovel wound to its head. That's
Jeez.
sick. Yeah, so sick. So the dog was too composed for DNA testing, and the team really didn't want to do that anyways. They're like, we don't really need it. Like, this is, let the dog have some peace. Like, this is
Mm.
disturbing. Like, it's already gone through enough. And so
Yeah.
they ended up not even using the dog DNA the way that they
Mhm.
wanted to or intended. But it does show that there was a dog present. And obviously, this dog had been literally murdered also some point within the last few months. So at some point, he did have a dog. And I think that was enough for them to move on without needing to like pry, I guess. So John initially claimed he had taken Leanne's body to Linleywood within days of killing her, and police didn't believe that because the decomposition didn't match a body that had been buried outdoors for literally 9 months. Like, it
Yeah.
was like just starting to decompose. So when they pushed back on his timeline, he kept changing his story. It's so basic. All these guys are just bad liars. So he said he had first hidden her body under pallets in his back garden. So, boom, garden specialist rocked that. So she
Mhm.
was there for a while. And then at some point later on, he moved her, eventually placing her in his freezer. And that's why she has not been decomposing this whole time. So she was murdered right off the bat. That's like, because we're thinking maybe
Weird.
she was getting held in a house, but
Yeah.
she has been deceased this whole time.
Yeah. This was in a freezer.
Yeah, so sad. So we have
Yeah.
another specialist. We got cryobiology. Any guesses? Any guesses in the
Freezing.
crowd? Yes,
Freezing.
freezing. Okay, yes, freezing. You're a good guesser. So it's a scientist who studies the effects of sub-zero and cryogenic temperatures on living organisms, cells, and tissues. Basically, he was brought in because they want to see or have him examine the microscopic structure of Leanne's cardiac tissue to see like how long we think that she's been in the freezer, how long she has actually been passed away and stuff. Um, really, what the expert only concluded was that the body had likely been kept in the like frozen for a significant stretch of time. So they don't know like how long she was alive, but they just know that she was there for. They are guessing majority of the time. So investigators believe that maybe this was like his way to like avoid detection, like a weird hiding spot. But a lot of people are thinking maybe more trophy, like relive experience. And either way, I'm sick about it. As far yeah. So as for when the body actually reached Linleywood, this part of the story actually did hold up because the forensic timeline showed she had only been out on the dump site for about a week, and that ends up being like the final story he shares. Like, yes, that's when he took her out of the freezer, and so they nailed that from the start how long she was out in the wilderness. They just didn't know that she had been under these conditions up until then. So sad. So on February 15th, 2002, John appeared at Leeds Crown Court and pled guilty to the abduction of Leanne Tiernan. He wasn't actually asked to enter a plea on the murder charge at this point. That was actually going to be held for a separate hearing. And he was remanded in custody. So on July 8th, 2002, this was actually the first day of his actual murder trial. And John pled guilty to murder as well. He was sentenced to life in prison with a recommended minimum of 20 years before he could be considered for parole. Frankly, not
Jeez.
enough. Not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still gonna be like okay with
Mm-hmm.
paroling him potentially.
Crazy. So the judge made clear that he should expect to spend the rest of his life behind bars, though. She's like,
Mm,
don't bet
that's
on
good.
parole, but still, that's when he's able to try, right?
Rollable.
Right. But this was not the end of his story because even with John behind bars for Leanne's murder, police felt that this couldn't have been the start of his actions, what he did. The crime felt so intentional and it was just like really smart in a lot of ways. And so investigators went back and reopened roughly 10 years worth of cold cases.
Mm.
They now have John's DNA. Like, we're gonna just test all of these against John and see if we come up with anything. And
Mm-hmm.
what they find is that there had been two rapes that had been committed in Leeds in 1988 and 1989.
Damn.
And yeah, which is crazy. And both were tied to John Taylor.
Wow.
So obviously he was escalating and no one even knew that he was out there.
Mm-hmm.
So in April, they're
Scary.
like, we're charging him again. And he actually pled guilty to both and received 2 further life sentences. So now they're like, okay,
Dang.
this is like an extra bad guy.
Yeah.
So now he has a recommended minimum of 30 years on these charges before parole, which I'm like, just don't ever let him out. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Seriously.
I mean, he would die. He's old anyways.
That's
So,
good.
yeah. In December 2006, under a routine legal review, the High Court reconsidered John's original murder sentence in light of those later rape convictions. So now that they have more information on John, they're going back like, is this actually the right sentence? And a judge raised the minimum term on the murder of Leanne specifically to 30 years as well. So, meaning he could not even be considered for parole on her killing until 2031, which is fascinating because I didn't know you could go back with new evidence and reconsider and like up the parole time and stuff.
Yeah. Maybe it's
Which,
an England thing.
yeah, but I don't know if you can in the United States. But I was like, sweet, yeah, let's keep bumping that up. So in 2018, John, I guess he wasn't super old, but by then he's 62 years old. So like he still has another 20 years before he would ever be even eligible to try and get parole.
Mm-hmm.
But at this time when he pled guilty to, believe this, 16 additional offenses against 5 victims spanning from 1977 to 1996.
Jeez.
So, yeah, among them was an indecent assault in 1984, even on a 7-year-old girl who had been tied to a drain pipe. So he's just like this sick monster. And that's like our theme for the last 2 weeks is just like gross, disturbed guys who are literally living amongst everybody in plain sight and just doing the most horrific things, not getting caught for years and years.
Yeah.
Hate it. So he was given a whole life order. Like John's never ever going to leave prison, which
good.
Perfect. Right. So it makes this case what makes this case remarkable, like, and as I was like looking through it, is how many different threads had to hold for it to all come together. Like how we talked about those 5 things. The fact that they had, if they only had the garden, that wouldn't have been enough probably for conviction, you know. Yeah. But they had also the all the things, the fibers and the hairs and the cables, and the fact that they had everything and all of it matched up was literally like a gift from God, I swear, to solve this case and get this guy off the streets, which thank heavens. So Leanne Tiernan, she was just 16 years old. She got off the bus at the wrong stop because she just wanted to make sure her friend got home safely. And that was the last thing she ever did, which is horrible. And that is the heartbreaking case of Leanne Tiernan.
Dang, that is sad.
Yeah. I was like,
glad she had justice.
And I hate that obviously this happened to her and that she had to go through this. But I also am very happy, and I think she would be proud, that because of her case, so many other cases were solved. Like when I hear things like that and they're able to like actually finally get this bad guy, like a serial bad guy, off the street, it sucks that it had to be through murder. But I hope that she's just proud that like it's her case that finally got him away from other women, because like I don't know, he was on this like he was on a roll. Yeah, like who knew like how long that was going to go on and how many more victims there could have been. So it's so sick, but I hope the family finds peace and the fact that her case stopped a really bad dude. But anyways, all right, well, hit me with it. Wait, first keyword.
Experts.
Experts. I think that's a very fitting word.
Thank you.
There was like 1,700 of them, and I think that they all deserve that title because they definitely are the best at what they did.
Yeah, they crushed it.
Yeah.
Ready for another episode of True Crime News?
True Crime News. I'm ready.
Alrighty, so welcome back everyone to a True Crime News episode. My name is Blake with Allie. She doesn't talk much in this one.
Okay.
But what we have today is disturbing, to say the least. The walk home that ended in murder. Date.
Wow, that sounds familiar.
June 6th, 2026. Victim Billy Schmidt, 22 years old, located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. After watching the NBA Finals with friends, Billy Schmidt began walking home. Surveillance video captured him speaking with 2 teenagers before an argument broke out. Moments later, he was shot and killed just blocks from his house. This week, the police identified two 16-year-old suspects who remain on the run as the U.S. Marshals search for them.
16-year-old suspects?
Yeah.
Teenagers need to get their crap together. What the heck? Can't be going out there doing crazy stuff.
Yeah. Next case, the house full of secrets. Date: search began June 19th, 2026. Details released June 30th, 2026. Suspect: Eugene Horsch, I don't know. 44 years old, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania again. A routine investigation led police to Eugene Horsch's house, where they discovered hidden chemicals, fake IDs, weapons, and handwritten notes referring to serial killer Ted Bundy. Investigators are now examining whether the disturbing evidence could be connected to a missing woman and other unsolved cases.
Weird.
Yeah.
I was not expecting it to go that way.
Yeah, and our last one is the suitcase by the railroad tracks. June 29th, 2026. In, I don't know how to say his name. Turkshkakanok Don Hamala.
Wow,
17.
Okay, you can't ever make fun of me ever again.
Well, you should see it. It's Thailand. Simon Carman is the suspect. A suitcase abandoned near railroad tracks led police to the body of 17-year-old Don Hamala. Sorry. Investigators say surveillance footage showed Australian tourist Simon Carman carrying a similar suitcase before he attempted to leave Thailand. Police are also investigating whether he could be linked to two other unsolved deaths.
Weird.
And that's it for True Crime News.
Thank you for our updated news. Any last words before we part ways?
Nope. I need a pee.
Me too. All right, well, that was it for this week. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode of Siblings in Crime.
Adios.